Okay, let's jump right into today's explainer. We're looking at something I like to call the escape room. Basically, how to identify and break free from that invisible cultural box we're all stuck in. We're going to unpack some really profound insights on spotting these deeply ingrained societal errors and, more importantly, how to actually solve them. So, why do we follow all the rules but still end up feeling completely lost? It's a question that honestly haunts a lot of us. I mean, think about it. You do everything you're supposed to, right? You get the education, you land the job, you buy the things society tells you need to be happy, you play by the rules. But despite doing everything quote unquote right, there's still this restless, unfulfilled emptiness. It's just exhausting. If you're feeling that way, you are absolutely not alone. Look at this classic quote from Henry David Thoreau. "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." It perfectly captures that existential emptiness. It's a completely universal human experience to feel this quiet desperation. We so often think there's something broken inside of us when we feel this way, but the reality? It's much more complex and honestly, way less personal.
Okay, let's get into section 1, the trap, the perennial struggle.
The author calls this the perennial struggle. And I want to be super clear here. This isn't some personal flaw you need to go and cure. It's a mismatch. See, we have these deep, very real human needs for connection and purpose, but they get filtered and kind of twisted by our social programming. We're essentially trying to run a modern life on bad software that doesn't match our basic hardware. There's an incredible old Zen proverb that hits the nail on the head here. The finger that points at the moon is not the moon. We get so lost when we start confusing the labels society hands us with actual reality. The definitions aren't the things themselves, but before we know it, we start living for those labels instead of just living. Which brings us to a really fundamental and, frankly, dangerous philosophical error: confusing the map with the territory. Society gives us this neatly drawn map of how life is supposed to work, but treating that mental representation as if it's objective reality, that is incredibly risky. It distorts what we actually need and completely blinds us to the reality that's right in front of us.
All right, moving on to section 2, the illusions, societal fallacies controlling you.
First up, we've got the success myth. We are constantly bombarded with the message that success equals accumulating massive wealth, getting power, and just crushing the competition. But here's the catch. Chasing that version of success often violently conflicts with our true internal values. And that's exactly how you end up feeling completely empty while sitting in a shiny corner office. This insight from Viktor Frankl is absolutely crucial. He says, don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it. The point here is that true meaning comes from finding your own purpose, not just mindlessly absorbing whatever society says success is. When you make their version of success your main target, you ironically end up missing out on a genuinely fulfilling life.
Next, we have the happiness myth. We are sold this idea that happiness means being in a state of constant joy and constantly getting external validation. Like if you aren't thrilled 24/7, you're somehow failing at life. But the realistic truth? True well-being is a sense of contentment that happens over time. And beautifully enough, that includes having the resilience to face the actual hardships of reality without totally falling apart.
Then there's survivorship bias. We hear it all the time, right? Follow your dreams and never give up. And it's always backed by stories of famous billionaires or superstar athletes. But popular culture really twists reality here. It only showcases the rare winners. It completely ignores the thousands of people who worked just as hard, but failed due to sheer chance and overwhelming odds. Finally, the closure myth. We desperately want that happily ever after. We demand these neat, clean endings to our pain or our confusion. But demanding closure often just forces us into rushed decisions or makes us ignore new information just so we can feel settled in an unpredictable world. The hard truth we have to accept is that some things in life simply have no clear ending.
Let's dive into section 3, the invisible bars, how the trap survives.
The first invisible bar keeping us in the escape room is groupthink. I mean, think about the last time you agreed to a terrible idea just to keep the peace. In cohesive groups, the overwhelming desire to just get along overrides independent thought. Unanimity completely suppresses dissenting opinions, so nobody questions the societal myths, and the trap stays locked tight.
Closely related to that is social contagion. Because we are such deeply social creatures, beliefs spread like wildfire through imitation and peer pressure. This normalizes harmful norms and strongly discourages anyone from speaking out. It makes these cultural illusions feel less like choices we're making and more like inescapable laws of physics. And finally, the Sapir-Whorf theory. This is the concept that the language we use actively shapes our thoughts. For instance, if society only gives you the words hustle and grind to define your work, it actively constrains your ability to even imagine a balanced life. The language we use to describe our problems literally limits our ability to think our way out of them.
Okay, let's get to the good stuff. Section 4, the master keys, tools for breaking free.
Our first weapon here is Socratic questioning. Now, this isn't just casual daydreaming. It's a highly methodical, rigorous form of inquiry. It's designed to ruthlessly reveal your hidden assumptions and tear down that magical thinking. By tracing the logical consequences of your thoughts, you can actually start to separate real knowledge from socially conditioned ignorance. Let's look at this brilliant drill-down exercise called the 5 whys. Imagine you're always late. Okay, why? Well, you hit snooze. Why? You're tired. Why? You were up late. Why? You were scrolling on your phone. Why? Because you're avoiding facing tomorrow. Boom! See that? By asking why 5 times, we go right from a surface-level symptom directly to the root emotional cause. Next, we have Byron Katie's 4 questions. When one of those socially conditioned, highly stressful thoughts pops into your head, ask yourself these 4 things. Is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? How do you react when you believe it? And who would you be without that thought? These questions act as an immediate circuit breaker for your anxiety. And then there's the turnaround, also known as inversion. This is a remarkably empowering psychological tool. Say your thought is, you are holding me back. Try inverting it to, I am holding myself back. Now, this isn't about blaming yourself, it's about claiming ownership. It forces you to look at your own distorted programming and actually take back control of your reactions. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Rewriting Your Reality. So, what are your actionable takeaways from this explainer? First, you've got to constantly challenge your assumptions. Give yourself immense self-compassion too, because unlearning all of this takes time. Replace that magical thinking with grounded, practical action. And above all, prioritize discovering the truth over performing for society. Just remember, unburdening yourself from all those false expectations is exactly what makes room for genuine contentment. The door to the escape room is unlocked, but, you have to be the one to actually push it open. The tools are right there in your hands now. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. Which part of your reality will you question today?